Hello and welcome to CadoinkStudios. I am Cadoink and I have another replay for you guys today. This time, sent in by the community, we have TheGreatOne spawning as the blue Protoss player, and his opponent is, of course, the red Terran Soderquist. I don't know how to say his name. But this is a TVP on Shakuras Plateau, and we have him spawning on the close air positions. Our hero for today is, of course, TheGreatOne, and Soderquist commenting that make Colossi is an easy win, and this is in fact sometimes true, depending on how well the Terran player deals with Colossi. And he's saying in Gold League it's for Protoss. But no, all you have to do is build Vikings and have a lot of other units and just have a really good push. I suggest hotkeying your Vikings to 2, the rest of your army to 1, and then when you A-click, do 1 A-click, 2 A-click, and then when the time comes that you get into an engagement, make sure you target those Colossi with the Vikings. So just 2, and then A-click one of the Colossi. So we have very normal things coming out for both our players. So while this kind of opening is going on, I do have a few announcements. On Saturday, I think I'll be casting a tournament for Animus. He's doing a Gold League tournament, I believe, bronze to gold maybe. You can check that out on the Battle.net forums. Yeah, it should be pretty fun. It's on Saturday. And another announcement is Probable Loss is doing a tournament this June, I believe, for charity. It's for Autism Speaks, which is a really good cause. And so he has a thread on the Battle.net, on the North American Battle.net, saying that it's titled Tournament, StarCraft Tournament for Charity. And so definitely please check that out, as I think that Autism Speaks is a great cause, especially to do a tournament for. And so hopefully he can raise a lot of money for him. And so yeah, I'll be keeping track of that, and definitely giving shout-outs to that, because I think it is something that is very good. In other news, I have finals next week, so yeah, that's why I haven't made a lot of videos. This is the first day I've gotten a chance to cast, so I am really excited to be able to cast, and so I'm going to cast a few games and then hop onto the books and study for my 4 finals next week. So we have the Terran player Soderquist. I'm going to say the Terran player going for a 2-rack sort of play. He's going to be dealing with this assimilator that was taken. Can't really do any 1-1-1 Banshee, cloaked Banshee stuff because this was taken. So, great job by TheGreatOne. He was able to hold that off, or, effectively shut down that kind of strategy with just simply building an assimilator. In the meantime, he decided to take his own expansion because he knows that nothing too aggressive is going to be coming out. This 2 racks can be a little aggressive, but I think that most Protoss players can hold it off, especially in the Gold League. He should be fine if this is a Gold League game, which I think from the dialogue we can assume it is. So yeah, going the Nexus and then going the Cyber Core, so we will have a pretty nice early economy. For those of you who don't know, Protoss in the long run kind of end up with a stronger economy on the same number of bases, because the mules don't stack, whereas the Chrono Boost stacks. So you get more probes out quicker than the Terran player gets SCVs out. In fact, if we look at the worker tab, 27 probes to 18, and part of that might be a little bit of solder. Just gonna say solder. Missing some SCVs. And by the way, I'm not commenting on balance. I don't think it's unfair at all. As a Terran player, I think it's quite fair. But I'm just making note of the fact that he will have 2 bases. He will have 2 chrono boosting bases, so he will have a really strong economy. So the Terran player will be reacting by getting a command center himself, also putting up 2 bunkers. This is very good because there are a lot of really early Protoss attacks that can just wipe you out really early on. So I really like that. Also getting his factory up. We'll see if he's going for early air play. Might be getting some early medevacs out. In the meantime, TheGreatOne is getting his robo and then getting 2 more gateways, so he will be going kind of a 3-gate robo play, an interesting kind of inverted one, where he gets the robo before he gets the extra 2 gateways. And so we'll see, he'll probably be getting some Immortals out, and then working on getting Colossi in the later rounds. He did, his opponent basically told him his weakness, build Colossi and you'll win. And so we'll see if that holds true in this game. In the meantime, we see the Terran player getting his concussive shell out. I do believe he researched stim originally. No, excuse me, he got combat shield. So he will have combat shield, and he will be pushing out at this time. Maybe just doing some poking, scouting the base. We'll see if it's effective or what it does. Also making sure he's getting these watchtowers, which is very good. In the meantime, an observer coming out for the TheGreatOne will be getting inside of Soder's base, and we'll most likely see the starport. And he knows there won't be cloaked banshees. He sees this reactor, so he can suspect early medevac play and prepare for the drops that Soder most likely will do. Also getting an engineering bay out, he will be able to get those +1 upgrades that are so good. So we'll see how that helps him in the long run. In the meantime, he will be pushing up. However, after a scan, he knows he shouldn't engage that, especially not with 2 sentries here that could put off some very, very good force fields. Forge going down, so both players will be working on their +1 at around the same time, hopefully. The TheGreatOne floating quite a bit of minerals. I would like to see him put down a few more gateways. I like that he's getting this tech and focusing on getting upgrades. However, he really does need to be putting down some more gateways, pumping out more units, making use of this robotics facility he built. And yes, now he's going to be putting down 5 gateways as well as a robotics bay. So yeah, that's a very good play by the TheGreatOne, spending his money. In the meantime, Soder is taking another expansion. I don't know if this is the best move, as his front is really kind of vulnerable. He only has 2 bunkers and a small little force. His unit production is not great, as he's only on 2 barracks. I believe he's still on 2 barracks. Yeah, only 2 barracks and 1 starport, and getting a little bit supply block. So I'd suggest to Soder, make sure you're continuing to build SCVs and continuing to call down those mules, because, I mean, 28 SCVs at the 10-minute mark is really quite low. You want to be keeping up with your Protoss player as best as you can, and then you can afford to put down a few more barracks, whereas right now you can't. But he will be going for a drop. We will see what kind of damage this does. If we look in the back of the TheGreatOne's base, he is prepared for this. A lot of stalkers back there to try to deal with the medevacs, as well as a sentry to maybe get off a good force field that kind of blocks some of the units, even pulling some back pretty confident. And the drop is coming in at this time. Even pulling probes to do some damage, wanting to take this out as quickly as he can. He's going to be losing more probes than he should. Yeah, actually a lot of probes going down, and his Immortal and Zealot are in really poor positions. He really needs to push his army forward. However, he will shut that down, but not without taking several losses. If we look, 19 workers killed to just 1 for the TheGreatOne. So yeah, needs to watch the probes. It would have been more wise to pull them back maybe here, and then push your army forward and take care of the drop. But there are a lot of other things that are going on for the TheGreatOne that is good. He almost has his +1. Actually, just now got his +1 attack. He's getting his first Colossi up as well. And his economy is really, really strong. He's mining gas out of almost every base, or almost every assimilator. And he's continuing to produce units out of his warp gates. He should be getting his thermal lance up soon, making sure he doesn't stay supply blocked. So a lot of good things coming out for the TheGreatOne. In the meantime, Soder's doing some good things as well. He's getting up his 2nd engineering bay. He really should be getting that +1 armor out of this. Also opting to get another starport. This is good against Colossi. Going for this double starport makes it a lot easier to deal with the Colossi. However, with a unit count this small, I don't know if I agree with this. I would like to see more barracks. It would be a lot more productive. I like the fast 3rd by Soder and turning it into a planetary. It is very, very vulnerable, so he should be able to protect that with a planetary, or at least help protect it. And then also scouting with this factory. This is something that a lot of really, really pro players do. You don't really need the factory because you have your 2 starports and you're not going to be building anything out of it. and so why not just scout, and that's what he is doing. However, the Great One's spotting it with a really good eye on the mini-map. Will be pushing it away with his stalkers. Also getting blink, which I think is a really good choice. You can blink forward and try to pick off the Vikings that Sodder has, so that your Colossi do a little bit more damage. Very nice by the Great One. Never bad to get upgrades, especially not blink. Also getting his +1 armor. And yeah, not a lot going on as far as army movement is concerned. I would like to see both players move across the map and kind of get map control. We have a red Terran player taking this watchtower. Would be nice to see him get this one as well. And the Great One's just going to expand. He knows he's safe. He's got a crazy economy. He's got a lot of upgrades coming out, getting that thermal lance, continuing to produce Colossi. And so, yeah, when you're in this situation, take an expansion, and then whenever you can, push forward. I believe he did have an observer here, but it was killed off by this turret. And so now the Terran player feels confident enough to push forward. Actually, no, the observer did not die. Nice by Great One. Sometimes a lot of Protoss players will not check their observer, and a turret will be able to be built, and it will be picked off rather quickly. But the Great One spotted it and pulled his observer back. So, yeah, he will be able to see this army coming. He is prepared, getting down onto the lower ground so he can try to get a better concave. Moving forward, he sees that his army can engage. Tries to do a force field, but the Terran player does slip out. Nice move by the Terran player, moving his Vikings forward to try to do as much damage to the Colossi. And this is great. Sodder pulling some units in order to push the Vikings back. And in the meantime, there's a nice drop on the back of the Great One's base. Sodder doing some damage to the probe line. He did have to pull his probes back, I believe. I don't think he lost them all. No, he did lose a good bit. And the drop was shut down, but not before some damage was taken by the Great One. So, nice play by Sodder. When you're in a position where you know your army's going to just die face to face with the other army, might as well just pull back, do a little drop, and see if you can get some damage, get a little bit ahead. You can see a lot of zealots for the Great One. His name slipped my mind for a second. He does have zealot legs. No, he does not have zealot legs. I was confused because it was not colored, but it was spinning. I didn't realize that it spins regardless. So he really needs to get the zealot legs up, considering how many zealots he has. It's going to do tons of damage to this army. The zealots can just swoop in and get a nice little surround and pick off the army with the Colossi. And then once the Colossi go down and the zealots go down, you just have a bunch of stalkers and sentries behind. In the meantime, the Great One is getting up a nice little wall of gateways. Continuing to produce gateways is never a bad thing. And we also have the Terran player getting a ton of upgrades. You can see he's getting +2 armor and attack. He's even getting +1 for his Vikings, which is really, really good. I do believe somewhere, yes, he does have a Ghost Academy, so he will be able to produce ghosts, and he can get that EMP up, which is ever so powerful. However, he really needs to focus on just building units. If we look at the Army tab, 124 Army supply for the Great One to only 77 for Sodder. So he really needs to make sure he continues to produce it. And so the Great One is going to be going down and trying to shut down this third. The Planetary is helping a little bit, and he is doing some repairing, but some nice force fields going down, preventing the SCVs from repairing further. And the Planetary does finally go down. However, he is in a little bit of a stuck position as Sodder's army is coming in, but once again, some good force fields kind of messing up the concave. However, it is stopping his zealots from getting to the army. So all the Colossi do go down because nothing was able to stop the Vikings. However, there's a huge army deficiency for Sodder. He really needs to get up a stronger force. Pulling back, should be using these bunkers. However, at this point, the Great One just has a great sheer force, so he will be able to move forward and shut this down. He really needs to make sure his zealots get up there and do the damage they need to do, as they're just kind of sitting in the back right now. And finally they kind of slip through, and they will be able to get up to this orbital command and push it away. Even force fielding the ramp to make sure that none of the army of Sodder can come down and prevent this attack. So effectively shutting down the third, effectively shutting down the natural. The Great One is in a very good position, and Sodder is in a very bad position. So once again, he will be dropping. I love this by Soder, man. Once you're in a position where you kind of feel like you're in trouble, go ahead and do some drops. You know their whole army is in your base. Just do some drops, and it looks like now he's going to be going for a huge Doom drop. I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, but at the same time it is a good position, a good strategic move to do. If you can just keep your opponent not attacking your base, if you can just keep him sitting outside, kind of turtle up, then maybe you can get into their base and do a lot of damage. He was trying to move his orbital command back to the natural, but it does go down. Little hairdryer falling into the water, and yeah, he's kind of baiting force fields, and now the Great One is in a lot of trouble as he has a huge force, but he was very good at reacting and putting down some stalkers. They will go down, but not before taking out a few of the units, even putting down some cannons, which go down quickly. And Soder is even landing his Vikings. He wants to do as much damage as physically possible, taking out all the pylons, even going to be picking off a Colossi, and effectively shutting down the Great One's unit producing for a good while. However, his army is back in town, and it will be able to shut down this force, even blinking forward onto the units. And at this point, Soder's army is done. He will try to lift off and run away, but not really gaining much from it in the long run. So yeah, 2 Marauders being left behind. Poor lonely Marauders just getting picked off by some Zealots. And now he'll be moving forward once again with another small force. He really needs to just turtle up as hard as he can, get his economy back, moving his main to his natural actually to continue to mine. This would be mined out by now if he had had it as saturated as it could have been. But yeah, this army is very much out of position. We see that the Protoss army is moving forward, and we'll be able to shut this down very quickly. He spots the army from the Zelnaga Tower and is going to try to engage, which isn't a wise decision, as just from sheer force he will be able to pick this off, force fielding behind to make sure he doesn't run away. And yeah, there's the GG by Soder, and Great One GG's to follow. So yeah, great game by the Great One. Sent me 2 replays. I will be casting the other one. Oh man, oh sorry, just stretching there. This is my first cast in a long time, first cast alone. I've been very, very busy getting ready for finals. And yeah, that was a great game. I really enjoyed it. Another TVP. We'll be casting another game by the Great One, a PvP after this. So anyway, once again, check out Probable Losses thread on the BattleNet about the charity for Autism Speaks. It's a great cause. Go donate and sign up for the tournament. It should be a lot of fun. Check out the tournament I'm doing, or keep updated with the tournament I'm doing on Saturday with Animus. And yeah, continue to watch my videos. Go to Boisterous's channel and check out his videos. We do a lot of co-casts together, and it is a lot of fun. We will have more of those coming up soon. And yeah, that's all I've got. So I will see you guys later.